What? Oh no. Hey guys, CryptoDad here again. Thanks for joining me on the Saturday night live stream. Live from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the news, we'll talk about altcoins, gonna move some crypto around for you guys, and as always, I'll do my very best to get to your questions and see if we can't troubleshoot your problems here live. Well, had a little issue with the camera. That was weird. Had been totally testing everything and making sure all the cameras were working. We're doing pretty good. Let's see what we got. We've got this one, of course. This is our main camera. We've got this one still working. Thank goodness. We've got our overhead cam. How's our table demo doing? Oh, our table demo is still doing great. Yeah, this was the one that I was having so many problems with before. And now we've got this one straightened out. So, yeah, I was like messing with all these cameras, trying to get everything straightened out. And then, whoops, we don't need that anymore. Lo and behold, you know, this camera was freaking out on me. Now, this is the Canon camera. I think I told you guys about this one last week. If we look here, yeah, you can sort of see it. I mean, I've got this overhead camera that I use for like demos and unboxings. And then I've got this, this new Canon EOS R50, which I replaced my old, Canon Rebel T7 Ti, I think, or Ti7, which I had no idea was only giving me SD, output through the HDMI cable, which is weird. The camera is 4K, but when you use an HDMI cable, which you can sort of see coming out of the side of the camera here, you don't get the full resolution of the camera. But in this case, I've got a 4K camera and it's given me full HD output, which is what I need because I upgraded my capture card in my computer, and it's a 4K card and it doesn't recognize anything lower than full HD. So when my old camera connected to that brand new card, I was getting letterbox. So bam, here we are. And I'm going to talk a little bit about technology tonight. There's a lot of pushback in the crypto community over Ledger's decision to end support for their Ledger Nano S, and a lot of people are under the opinion that it should have just lasted forever, I guess. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that if I have time. Not going to be a rant, but I just wanted to sort of talk about technology, how, and I'm 62, you know, so I've seen a lot of changes in my life. Let's go over and greet everybody. I'm so happy that everyone is here tonight, sans the technical difficulties. Thank you for being here and joining me. So Kenny was here early. Andreas Ebert is here. Dusted in Shadow, Mr. Miskey, Birds, Bees, and Trees. We were talking about sandwiches earlier. I had told you guys that I had made a sandwich earlier. My wife and I like to go to the Fulton Street Market here in Grand Rapids on Saturdays, and this time of year is like the most incredible time of year. Now, cherry season is over. There are no more sweet cherries in Michigan, but there are so many fresh fruits and plums, blueberries, and tomatoes and peaches. I mean, there's just so many great things out there. And I had mentioned that I bought some heirloom tomato and made a good sandwich. And when I picked up that tomato, and I bought that big tomato, it was a $7 tomato. I said to the lady there, just as the great sculptor sees the statue within the block of marble, I see the sandwich within the giant tomato. I am the sandwich artist. And it sounds like I'm not alone. There are a few other sandwich lovers. Of course, a good sandwich has to have the basics, and the Nantucket Baking Company over on Lyons Avenue is just the most wonderful bakery. And we go there once or twice a week. It's just awesome. So fresh tomatoes, fresh bread, sliced turkey, and I got some pesto hummus. I like that, and mayonnaise, and some pea sprouts. So that was really an awesome sandwich. So yeah, and we're all just loving life here, aren't we? Dan the man is here. Dan likes sandwiches. Dan can put away some food. Yeah. He's big, man. I don't know. How tall are you, Dan? But you make me look like a midget, I'll tell you that. But yeah, I really like Dan. And he's a great guy, and it's good to have you here every week moderating for everyone. Christopher Tain from Melbourne. Fred McIntyre, smash that like. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. April is here from Perth. Paul is here from Quincy, Massachusetts. HR by Catherine, Amsterdam, Holland. Gunbroker, Andreas Ebert. And Bobby is here. And Gregory Whelan. Wow, there's a lot of regulars here tonight. Good to have everyone here. Let's jump into it. Lots of fruits here in California. Also delicious, yes. Nothing better than locally sourced, fresh ingredients and food. Life is to be enjoyed. Oh, and I forgot to tell you the story. What is that on my lip? Is that just me? Oh, it is something. I think it was some cheese. My son came in about 5:30 and asked me to make him a grilled cheese. So we had some, there's a bread that they have different breads on different days at the Nantucket Bakery. And we bought some, what they call it, Vienna. And it's kind of, I think there's some right there. Over there in the corner, that's some Vienna bread, and he loves that bread. And so, and then we bought some sliced cheese at the grocery store the other day. So he had a combination of American cheese, Swiss cheese, and Colby Jack cheese. Pretty good. I had to do some emergency grilled cheese surgery because I left it on one side just a little too long. So we had to scrape off the charred build up, and then put a little extra butter on there and fry it on the other side. So yeah, we're all sandwich lovers in this household. So if you've never been in the live stream before, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the description. Ledger is doing their Bitcoin rebate sale. Now this is actually, and I'm not lying, this is the biggest sale they've ever done, because it used to be the top of the line was 70, and now the top is 80. You can get an $80 Bitcoin rebate with the Ledger stacks. That's really cool. And then you can also get another 10 if you sign up for Ledger Recover, which the self-custody people maybe aren't into. The old school, but Ledger Recover could have helped a lot of people that have called Ledger. That's one of the things that Ledger always tells me. People complain about Ledger Recover because it exports the private key and all this, nonsense, as if that's something that a hardware wallet should never, ever do. Well, hardware wallets evolve. We're going to talk about that tonight. Ledger Recovery Key is a good example. The private key is exported to that card, or the backup phrase, locally and encrypted and all that good stuff. But someone complained about the Ledger Recovery Key and said, "Oh, you should never export the public key, the private key." I'm like, who made that rule up? Things evolve. So anyhow, check out that sale. They started it on Tuesday. It will go until Tuesday the 19th. So if you were looking for a ledger and you were waiting for Black Friday, it's not going to get much better than this. I don't know what they're going to do this year for Black Friday, but this is better than their Black Friday deal of last year. So anyhow, and we're going to talk about the market, and when we get to it, if we ever get to it, what's going on with Bitcoin. I'm going to focus on the good news. We broke another all-time high this week. I believe it was Wednesday. It was a thing of beauty, and it was really interesting because Ethereum and Bitcoin were like racing, like who's going to hit the new all-time high. Well, it turned out it was Bitcoin, and Ethereum got pretty close, but some PPI data or CPI data, I'll have to straighten it out, kind of rained on the parade on Friday. Or was it Thursday? I don't know. But anyhow, a wonderful historic week, and we're going to focus on those stories. It's funny how news stories just disappear after a couple days. But I'm going to cover what happened in the middle of the week and a little bit of what we're doing now. And we got some great stuff planned for you guys. Going to transfer some tokens. My latest video, I did this one yesterday, a MetaMask setup video. Now, a lot of people, I have several MetaMask videos out there on how to use MetaMask, and they've aged. MetaMask has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. And so I did another from beginning to end MetaMask video. It's a bit long. I think it's 40 minutes long, but it's divided into chapters, and it's very detailed. And of course, I talk too much, but it's a pretty decent video. I like it. And of course, I've got a whole bunch of affiliate links down here. If you've got an old Ledger Nano S, they are still offering that upgrade price. So if you connect your old Ledger Nano, what is this? Oh, it's currently on hold. Oh, interesting. So they're redirecting you over to, probably because of the rebate. So if they were doing both at the same time, it would really give you too much of a discount. So I think they're they'll probably put this back on Tuesday. When the Bitcoin Boost sale is over. So if you have an old Ledger Nano S, you can get a great deal on a Ledger device. 20% off any of their products. Pretty cool stuff. You can also still get the Ledger recovery key if you have a Ledger Nano S or a Ledger Flex or a Ledger Stacks. You can get a free recovery key, but only one per customer. So if you have more than one device, you can't get a free one for each of your devices, unfortunately. And then I still get a lot of people saying this is not working for them. When you connect a device to your computer in your browser, there's a lot of things going on. So you have to have the cable connected to your computer. You have to have the PIN entered, the device has to be unlocked, and you can't have pop-ups being blocked on your browser. So if your browser is blocking pop-ups, then it's not going to be able to mount the device properly to qualify for the claim. So keep that in mind. I've dealt with several people that were having issues saying that this is dim. Well, I think one guy was asking me, even though he hadn't connected his device yet, I gave him a whole bunch of stuff, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm still waiting on my Flex." I'm like, "Well, you have to connect the device to get the button to light up." And then of course, Tangem, all kinds of other products here, and all the news stories. Okay, so we've gone in 14 minutes. Let's jump into the news. Bitcoin hits record high. This was August 13th, 3 days ago. High as traders expect liquidations to propel Bitcoin above 125K. The all-time high was 123,231, according to Cointelegraph. Bitcoin is currently at 117 422. It's kind of been in this range all day. It's been 117, getting closer to 118, and then kind of falling back down in the low hundreds over 2,000 or 117,000. It's been pretty steady most of the day. But here we had a brand new all-time high on 3 days ago, which I guess was Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday, right? It was great stuff. Along with the S&P, the July U.S. CPI print showed inflation holding at 2.7, and the odds of a rate lowering in September went up, and so everything looked rosy for risk assets, and Bitcoin hit its all-time high. Pretty good. Bitcoin briefly flipped Google market cap as investors' eye rally above 124K. Bitcoin briefly flipped Google's parent Alphabet 2.4 trillion market capitalization to become the fifth largest global asset, driving a wave of optimism among investors. So really good day for Bitcoin, and I just could not ignore gloating or relishing or reveling in Bitcoin's new all-time high that was set this week, and not fall into all the doom and gloom of Bitcoin's pullback, which was, I don't know, a couple of percentage points. It's so funny to watch the mainstream people react to a Bitcoin pullback from 123 to 117 or 115, whatever it got down to. Let's take a look here. I think, a slid to 117,400. Those of us who have been following Bitcoin since 2017 are very familiar with the volatility of Bitcoin. And we've seen a lot worse, I'll tell you. It used to be whenever Bitcoin hit these highs, they would just plunge. It would just plunge in the days after, sometimes down 20, 25%, so this is nothing, but it's so funny to read all the stories, predicting, that Bitcoin's about to crash, just like everybody's, you have to remember, if you're an investor in the crypto sphere and you're following the news like this, the news that I present for you every week, you have to remember that not only are these predictions and these stories about the market based on charting, and which is an inexact science, but they're also in the business of getting clicks. So when things are good, you're going to see a lot of pie in the sky articles because they're hoping that you're going to click and read their article. And when the market pulls back, you're going to see a lot of articles out there that are just looking for clicks, that are, predicting doom and gloom in the crypto market because they want clicks, Even if you want Bitcoin to go up, when you see a headline about, the downside of the, the pullback, you're going to click it like, a hypnotized zombie because they're looking for clicks. So keep that in mind and try to keep an even keel, and just understand, if you're invested in the crypto market, you're invested in it because you think it's emergent technology and that it's, changing the future, changing the whole idea of money. It's an evolution of money. And that's Bitcoin, but then the underlying blockchain technology is changing how we do business and record transactions. So keep the macro factors in mind when you see all these articles about how Bitcoin's gonna keep going down whenever you see these. Also, I was like, well, I saw this article and it said something about inflation data. And I was like, wait a minute, wasn't inflation data good on Wednesday? Well, on Wednesday, there was the CPI, and on Friday, it was the PPI. So I'm like, well, what's the difference? So I looked that one up. The CPI is the Consumer Price Index, which was what was the information on that was released on Wednesday. And the PPI is the Producers Price Index, which was released on Friday. They're two different measurements. The consumer price is about what we're paying, and the producer price index is kind of about what the average change in selling prices received by domestic producers. So if you were curious about that, which I was, that's the difference between these two data points, shall we say. So I think the practical thing was, let's see, complicate, key levels. Okay, yeah. The PPI complicates the odds of a Fed rate decrease in September. That's the upshot of all this. This story on Wednesday is like, hey, they're definitely going to lower rates. And then on Friday, it was like, well, now we're not sure if they're going to lower rates. The Fed has been pretty stubborn about lowering rates, always claiming that it has to do with inflation. Who knows what it's about, really. Also, good news for Ethereum. This was also from Wednesday. Ether climbs towards new highs as Standard Charta ups target to 7.5K. And that's for this year. Pretty big prediction. Price forecast for 2025 to 7,500 per Ethereum from a previous 4,000 target, citing a surge in institutional buying and accelerated adoption of stablecoins following recent U.S. regulatory changes. Pretty amazing, right? So, and that's Standard Charter. And then another prediction, this was from 2 days ago, the biggest macro trade for the next 10 to 15 years, according to Fundstrat. Fundstrat predicted a price range of 12,000 to 15,000 for Ether by the end of this year, as it has plenty of upside. So this is the golden age of crypto. So this minor pullback from yesterday is nothing, right? Things are looking good for the crypto market, as well they should. I was convinced that crypto was going to keep going up back in 2022, and I was very disappointed when the bottom dropped out of the market. But there's a lot more institutional investment now than there was then, so I am still bullish on all cryptos. I have been since 2013. So yeah. And then there's a story here about crypto password or seed phrase and what we can do. I wanted to kind of catch up and make sure that I've answered questions. Pomp is here. He's got, hey, CryptoDad, been following you for a year now. Just wondering if you rebalance your portfolio, like trimming your overexposure to Bitcoin. I try to... I have been, the last couple of years, I have been more focused on Bitcoin. I don't know if you would call that overexposure to Bitcoin, but back in 20 and 21, I was doing a lot of speculative trading in the crypto market. Whenever my portfolio would go up, I would sell off the coins that were doing well to buy speculative coins. And that strategy did not really serve me very well. I did make some good quick gains, and then I had some horrible losses. So I am more focused on accumulating the mainstream cryptocurrencies now than I am on the speculative stuff. I won't touch meme coins at all anymore. They're just short-term stuff. A meme coin is not something you can buy and hold for years. There are a couple, like maybe Dogecoin or Pepe, that go down and then come back up. But most meme coins are flash in the pan. So, and it's not any kind of use case other than it looks pretty. So I'm focusing on strong cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think the market is as well. So I don't really give investment advice, but you asked me about my strategy. I'm nervous about sending a large amount of Bitcoin to my ledger because it creates a new address every time, so I can't send a test amount. Yeah, you can, when you send Bitcoin to a, and I did want to talk about this, so let me just hit this real quick. When you send Bitcoin to your Bitcoin wallet, every time a transaction hits the Bitcoin wallet, and this is any Bitcoin wallet, doesn't have to be a Ledger, it can be a Trezor, it can be a desktop-based Bitcoin wallet, Trust wallet. Some wallets like Tangent hold the same address. But if you send any transaction to a Bitcoin wallet, the next time you ask for an address, it's going to generate a brand new sending address, not a new private key, not a new public key, but a new sending address. If you do your test transaction and it gets to the wallet, you can actually send another transaction to the exact same address if you want to. Even though the wallet interface will give you a new sending address, the old addresses still work. So if you're you're worried and you're like, okay, I just sent to address X and now it's giving me address Y. And I'm like, how can I do a real test if it gives me a new address every time? I get the conundrum there. But you could also resend to address X as well, because you've already, proved that it hit that wallet. So you can resend to the exact same address again, and it will get to the wallet. You could even send a small after test, right? Send $10 worth of Bitcoin to address X. It hits the wallet. Great. You hit receive again. It's a new address. Resend to address X another 10. Notice that 10 will hit the wallet again. You're fine. Go ahead and send your big to address X, right? Even though you know that the wallet is you kind of have to put your trust in Bitcoin and the blockchain and the way that it works. If you're in your wallet interface and you've got your hardware device and you're using the same wallet and it generates a new sending address, that doesn't mean you need to doubt that address, right? It's the same hardware device generating a new Bitcoin address the way it's supposed to work. So, but yeah, I can understand why you might be, have a little trepidation about that. Okay, so I did want to kind of talk about this article here. A lot of people lose Bitcoin when they're using self-custody, even when they're using institutional custody. There are people that get locked out of their Coinbase account and are never able to get back in from one factor or another. That's a pretty rare case, but you can get locked out of your non-custodial account, like your Coinbase account. That can be tricky, but it's not impossible. So you're not going to lose Bitcoin for good, right? You'll just lose temporary access. Now, if you have a self-custody wallet and it has a password, like some people like to put a password on Ledger Live, I don't. But some people still do. If you lose your Ledger Live password, you can't get back into Ledger Live because it's a localized password. There's no reset. You can't call Ledger or send a reset email to Ledger to restore or recover your Ledger Live password. You can, of course, reinstall Ledger Live clean and reconnect your device and regain access to all your crypto. That's a little involved, but you can do that. So there's ways around that. But if you lose the password or your PIN, a lot of people forget the PIN to their device. If you forget the PIN to your device, you have to do a restore from your 24-word backup, and then you can set a new PIN. So you haven't lost any crypto there. But if you've forgotten your PIN, so you have no access to your device, and you've also lost your seed phrase, then you've completely lost your crypto. Now, if you lose your seed phrase and you know it's gone, but you still have access to your device, right? You still have your PIN, then you need to move that crypto off that device before something happens, before it gets lost, stolen, or damaged. While you still have access, you need to move your crypto to a new device that you have set up and written down a new PIN, and you know where it is, right? So, but let me go through this article. I've pinned or linked down below. You can check it out. But it talks about the same thing I just outlined here. If you've lost access to a non-custodial wallet, non-custodial means self-custody. I know it's kind of a weird way of thinking about it. A custodial wallet is where a custodian holds your crypto for you, right? So if you've lost access to a custodial wallet, but you still have your seed phrase, which is those 24 or 12 words that you wrote down, funds can be restored by importing the wallet and setting a new password or PIN, right? Custodial wallets can often be recovered through standard email-based password resets and identity verification process. Now, it gets a little complicated when you're using two-factor authentication. So if you've set up two-factor authentication with Google Authenticator or a hardware key or something like that, and then you lose your phone or you lose that hardware key, you usually can still get back into a Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini or Binance account, but you have to jump through a bunch of hoops and verify yourself with identity documents, and sometimes there's like a 10-day delay to regain access. So yeah, you have to be mindful when it comes to crypto security. Don't lose your phone. Don't lose your seed phrase. Don't lose your hardware key. I used to have a friend when back in high school, we hung out all the time. A bunch of us hung out together. And this guy was like, his house was the party house, right? He had a cool mom. So we would all hang out at his house. And but then when we wanted to go somewhere, he could never find his keys. And it used to just drive me insane. I'm like, what is it with you and your keys? Don't you, like, they're important, like, I can't find my car keys. So I'm pretty, the way I do it is, because I'm old and forgetful, is I always put my keys in the same spot. Whenever I come in the house, there's a place, a little shelf where I put my keys and my wallet. So I don't ever have to go looking for my wallet. But I also have a little extra thing. I have a little AirTag on my keychain in case somehow I do put my keys somewhere different. I can locate them with that little beeping sound. But yeah, you have to get into a routine where you don't lose things, especially when it comes to crypto. Very important. So yeah, losing both the password and seed phrase for a non-custodial wallet usually means permanent loss of crypto. Access to the crypto. That means it's gone forever. No one can ever access it. There is a good amount of Bitcoin that will never be recovered, and that is the security of Bitcoin. You have a private key, and if you lose access to that private key, you've lost access to that Bitcoin out there on the blockchain. And no one will ever be able to get to it again. If you lose your password, PIN, and seed phrase, then it's gone, right? From everywhere. So be very careful. This article is pretty good. It talks about beware of recovery firms. Of course, I get a lot of people that come to me with questions in my comments, and they send me emails. I've lost access to this crypto. Can you help me? And then they'll say, hey, I found this service, and they're saying they can recover it. Most of these are scams. They're preying on the desperate. And so they'll say, yeah, we can recover your we can recover your crypto. They are mostly scams. They're going to ask you for money up front, and then they're never going to recover your crypto. There are certain ways. They go through a few of them down here. They talk about doing a recover or doing a password reset in some detail. But there are some brute force recovery tools for wallet files. Now, this is not going to help you with a Ledger device. This DAT file is for a hot wallet or a desktop-based wallet. There's a file there that your password is in there, but it's an encrypted format. And there might be ways of brute force cracking that. But don't try to download tools from unknown forums, right? Stick to mainstream tools for this. There are some blockchain forensic and recovery experts that might, if you've been scammed and someone has stolen your crypto, they might be able to trace the path of where the crypto went and freeze the funds of the people that have stolen your crypto and maybe get it recovered. But that's the chances of that are pretty slim too. I know when you lose large amounts of crypto that you're willing to do anything, but that's usually not going to get you your crypto back. And then there are a lot of people that are just mad and they want to see the guys that stole their crypto punished in some way or form, and that's really their main thing. They don't even care if they want their crypto back, but they really want to see the perpetrators punished. A lot of times they've taken care to hide their location. A lot of times they're in other countries where U.S. laws can't touch them. Every now and then somebody gets arrested, but pretty slim chances of that. And then some legal routes about, fraud, Interpol, cybercrime, stuff like that. Wallet recovery services, they talk about that, which is pretty nice. There are some companies out there that can help you recover your wallet. I've helped people. I had one guy, he had lost access to one of the accounts in his Ledger Live. He had done a reset on his device and created a new seed phrase, and he had a whole bunch of seed phrases. We tried everything we could think of. We tried all the devices, and then finally he just sent me all the seed phrases, and I helped him the best I could. I went through every seed phrase, no dice. And then after a couple weeks, I said, look, there's nothing more I can do. I've tried some brute force recovery. The only thing is you've got to have another seed phrase around somewhere. That's what it boils down to. And lo and behold, he sent me another seed phrase the next day. He goes, oh yeah, this is the one my daughter wrote down. It was in my safe. I was like, okay. And boom, there it was. 170 grand worth of XRP. And this was last year. It's worth a lot more now. So I helped him get that back, and we moved it all to Uphold. So it's usually it boils down to finding that thing you lost, right? So Wooli is here. He just gave me a $5 discount or donation. Thank you so much. What advantages are there to upgrade your MetaMask wallet into a smart wallet? I think what you're saying is cold wallet. I'm not sure what you mean by smart wallet, but the video that I did yesterday about MetaMask, There's two main ways to use MetaMask. MetaMask is, of course, a browser extension. And let's put our password in here. You can create a standalone account. This is the account that when you first set up MetaMask and you write down your 12-word seed phrase, this is the account that it creates. This is a hot wallet. MetaMask is a hot wallet. The advantage of it is that it's free and it's open source. And as long as your computer is in good working order, as long as you have your computer is free of malware and spyware and viruses, and you've got protection, there's not a bunch of garbage on your computer, then it's a relatively safe wallet to use. If you've got keyloggers and malware, then it's vulnerable to hackers. Now, if you take MetaMask and you click Add Wallet or Account, you can import older wallets if you want from their recovery phrase or the private key, or you can connect a hardware wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor. Now, I've never even heard of a Lattice, or QR-based, which would be like a air-gapped wallet like an Elipal or a Keystone. And when you do this, the MetaMask wallet, the private key of the MetaMask wallet is being managed by your Ledger device. So this is the ultimate way to use MetaMask with a qualifier. If you've got a lot of crypto in a MetaMask wallet, like EVM crypto, like Ethereum, Optimism, Polygon, whatever, MetaMask doesn't work with Bitcoin, but it does work with Solana now. But if you have a particular account in your hardware device that has a huge amount of crypto on it, you really don't want to, you can use MetaMask to manage it. So if you've got some ERC20 tokens, and let's say you invested $100,000 in Pepe or BAT token or whatever, and you want to just custody, let's just assume it's a token that Ledger Live doesn't recognize, like it's a new investment or something. MetaMask is really good. It's very powerful and flexible. It can see a bunch of tokens maybe that Ledger Live can't. So if you want to use your hardware device to custody those tokens, it's a great way to use MetaMask. But if you're going to do kind of sketchy stuff in MetaMask, let's say you're using your standalone account to go do something like claim an NFT or, claim an airdrop or mint an NFT or do some sketchy trade. You don't want to be connecting an account that's got huge amounts of crypto in there. If you've got, notice here I've got several accounts based on Ledger devices. So I have a Ledger Flex, and I've got 2 accounts on the Ledger Flex. I mentioned in that video that these are siloed. In other words, if you sign a malicious transaction in one of these accounts, the malicious transaction can only drain that account. A malicious transaction is only effective on the address where you signed the malicious transaction. It can't go over and empty out the other device, of course, and it can't go out and empty the other account on the same device. That's the way it works. It's siloed. So your biggest risk when you're using Web3 is signing a malicious transaction and getting your wallet drained. So if you're going to be doing anything that's kind of sketchy, then you should be using an account on your hardware device that doesn't have a whole bunch of crypto in it, right? Don't connect the account that's got, 7 Ethereum in there. You can transfer between your accounts easy peasy, right? So I can go to this account and say I want to send, and within MetaMask, I can easily send to the other accounts. So if I wanted to send some 0.001, let's do 0.1. If I wanted to send, come on, Rex. Right, if I wanted to send like some Ethereum from this account to the other accounts, really easy to do. So just put enough in there to do what you're after. So, okay, yeah, I want to buy $10,000 worth of this, speculative ERC20 token on this sketchy website. I'm going to connect my MetaMask wallet. Well, don't connect your go-to account. Move that $10,000 worth of Ethereum into the smaller account to make your purchase. And then after you've made your purchase and it's successful and you got lucky and you didn't sign a malicious transaction or whatever, then you can move those tokens back to your go-to wallet and just hold them, right? So MetaMask gives you a lot of ways to be powerful and flexible and safe at the same time if you use it properly. But your question was, is it worth it to make it a smart wallet? I think you meant, is it worth it to connect a hardware device to make it a cold wallet or a hardware wallet? And by all means, yes. But also be careful. Don't connect your device that's got, 10 or 20 Ethereum in it to do Web3. You can create multiple accounts based on your devices. So this Ledger Flex could have 50 Ethereum in this account, but I'm not going to connect that account to, Web3. But I can use MetaMask to manage that account, but not for doing the sketchy stuff. I'll have a secondary account or a secondary, if it makes you feel better, just keep it as a separate device and say, okay, I've got this one device I'm never going to connect to Web3, but I have this other device that I will. But you can transfer between those devices once you've made your trade or claimed your NFT or minted your new NFT or claimed your airdrop. After you've done that sketchy stuff, you can move that stuff over to your, your holding wallet, right? Okay. Ken. Ledger Live is running slow for me. I use Windows. The recent update caused problems for some users. Do you think it's safe to send assets from my Ledger Nano S to my Flex account? Yes. Now, I get it. When you run, a lot of people are leery of updates. The bottom line is keep your software, your firmware, and your apps up to date. There's just no exception to that. I get a lot of, other people are having trouble with this update. You're always going to have people on Reddit complaining that, blaming the update for all their problems. I know I'm not trying to make light of your comment here, but it's best practice to keep everything up to date. And this whole oh my God, I just ran this update and now everything's screwed. I get that's possible. I've never had that happen to me in Ledger Live. I know I've done some Windows updates where things were sketchy and I had some problems with a webcam once after a Windows update. So I get it. Sometimes updates break things, but not very often, and not very often in Ledger Live. So I totally think that you're safe to use your devices, even though you ran an update that you feel like there are always bugs in updates. So I get it. If you're experiencing an issue with an update, I'm not trying to make light of that, but that is no reason to not trust your devices. I think that's what I'm trying to get across here. Also, I wanted to point out that there was an alert in my Ledger Live about MEV protection, and I went over to this little blog page where they've added a new feature that protects against MEV attacks, or maximum extractable value. MEV attacks exploit the delay between transaction submission and confirmation to manipulate blocks, resulting in value loss for users. These attacks include front-running attack, A front-running attack involves rearranging transactions so that the attacker's transaction is processed before a target transaction. Or a sandwich attack. A sandwich attack involves placing a buy order before and a sell order after a target transaction to exploit its price slippage. Well, Ledger has just added MEV protection in Ledger Live to protect against these kind of attacks. So yeah, you always want to keep Ledger Live up to date so you can have all the latest features, security fixes, functionality updates, bug fixes, right? It's very rare that bugs get introduced in updates. But if they do, then they get fixed in the next update. So being leery of updates, I get it. People are, leery of updates. They always have been. I'm a firm believer in keeping your device, your software up to date, latest, greatest. That's me. I did want to move some crypto. Let's go into the Sui wallet or the Slush wallet here. Now, I've got this Slush wallet connected to my Stacks device, but I'm just doing a deposit, so I don't even need to have the Stacks connected to do this. I'm going to go down here to the Deep token, and I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to do I don't have to do a receive. The receive is, here. It's all the same address, right? So I'm going to copy the address. It's just like an Ethereum wallet. Sui token, you've got the main token, which is SUI, and then you can see I've got 4 Sui tokens, Wall token, Deep token, Cetus, and a Sui AI. Just these are, I'm a little bit of speculation. I'm mostly invested in SUI, but I did purchase some, and let's just take this out here. I did purchase some Deep token on Kraken because they were offering me an airdrop if I. They said, as long as you have like 500 Deep token in your account, you'll be a qualify for this airdrop. So they gave me an airdrop. It was $20, right? It's a no-brainer. But I would like to withdraw this back to my wallet. So you saw me click you saw me get the receiving address. I'm going to go to withdraw. I've never withdrawn this token before from my account. So I need to put in an address, and I need to give it an address nickname. We'll call this one Deep. It's the name of the token, and I'll call it Stacks. Is it my Stacks? Pretty sure it's my Stacks. Actually, I think it's a Flex. Either way, I can always figure that one out. It's not a big deal. Add withdrawal address. All right, and then I'll confirm that by going to my email. I can see I just got one there. All right. We'll confirm the address for Kraken so they know it's me. And then I think I can, now it's here, right? So we'll do a small test first. We'll do 10, which is not much at all, actually. But then we'll hit review. We'll hit confirm. And then we'll go over to this wallet and wait for it to come in. Now I'm trying to think. Do they have... it's over here. Right, you can do your transaction history. That's Sui. That's from August 7th. So we'll just kind of hang out a bit and wait for that 10 to come in. 2579. Yeah, we'll just hang out and wait. And then once that 10 Deep hits the wallet, then that'll confirm to me that the address is good and it ended up where I expected it to end up. Someone was asking me earlier about a Bitcoin address because Bitcoin gives new addresses. SUI does not. Ethereum does not. Solana does not. They don't generate brand new addresses. Once you set up a wallet, it's always going to be the same address. So when your test is successful, then you can rest assured that you can continue to use that address. Also, Ken, if Ledger Live is running slow, you might look at doing a clean install of Ledger Live. I've got some good videos on that. I don't know. Let me see here. I think my Ledger Live clean install is pretty old. But it's still valid. But the Ledger Live looked a lot different when I did this. But the app data folder is where Ledger Live stores its preferences data, and that folder is still in the same place, right? So if you are game, you could do a reinstall of your Ledger Live clean. You could even try on a different computer and see if you're experiencing that issue with it being slow. I'm just going to paste that in there. All right, so Dan is talking about an EO that POTUS signed about digital assets and retirement accounts. Yeah, that was good news. I think we covered that story last week or the week before. Really good news. Do you know what the story is with Monero? Was it taken over by another miner? Paul, that question about Monero, I read some stuff on the Monero Reddit thread, and that's kind of one of those scare stories. If you go and you read about that on Reddit in the Monero community, it's kind of a nothing burger. The Monero blockchain is pretty safe. And as far as I know, the Monero blockchain has not been taken over. If it were, that would be a much bigger story than just some obscure little, that'd be front page news on CoinDesk, But no, I don't believe Monero has been taken over by a miner. Yeah. I heard about that, though. Let's see. Quebec protocol successfully completed to dominate the Monero network. This event marks a pivotal moment of the crypto, serving as the ultimate validation of Quebec's outsourced computation. Ledger has stated it. Thank you. Oh, okay. There was a problem with that. Okay, I get it. Yeah, Ledger said, oh, yeah, there was a little problem with this update. A lot of times it's on older computers. I hate to say that as well. But sometimes that's it. As come from beyond, surprised the whole space with Cubic. Thought it was going to be the bank, bark and no bite, like IOTA. With the takeover test now complete, the Monero network's core functionality remains intact. Its privacy, speed, usability have not been compromised. Thank you for that, Dan. I'm a little behind. Received unsolicited Decentralwood of my Nano X worth 30 cents. Is this some sort of scam? You're going to get like, it's not really a scam. It's more of a junk mail. A lot of coins promote themselves by giving out free airdrops early on. Sometimes it's just like, hey, we're here. It's not a coin coming into your wallet can't be a scam. It can lead to a phishing attack, perhaps. There are a lot of fake NFTs that come into your wallets that have things that say go to this website to claim your reward and all that kind of nonsense. Those can lead to malicious transactions or people losing crypto. But a token coming into your wallet, it might be a malicious token. If you try to sell it, there could be something weird about its contract, its smart contract, but just seeing a token in your wallet is not a danger if you just ignore it, right? Rex and everyone in chat, what do you think about Bitcoin knots? I imagine more data is okay, but knots could increase privacy. I've never heard of knots. Yeah, I did want to talk about this issue here. I know I'm kind of an old bird here, but the interesting thing that I wanted to bring up. Oh, are you kidding me? This thing again? What is going on with this camera? It's tripping me out, dude. All right. Yeah, it's really strange. Is it going to come back? There it is. Okay. Yeah. Geez, I thought this camera was like... I bought this brand new camera. I was thinking it was like nothing was wrong with this thing, but it's been giving me problems tonight. Probably nothing that a reboot wouldn't fix. But we've talked, someone's talking about Bitcoin knots. There, of course, are BRC20 tokens, the Bitcoin ordinals. There are a lot of new things happening with Bitcoin. Not to mention the fact that we've had new address protocols. We've had hard forks. We've had software forks. We've had the native SegWit. We've had Taproot. So there are things that change with Bitcoin. Ethereum is a big example of a crypto that has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. It migrated from a proof of work to a proof of stake protocol. So if you had an old hardware wallet with an old copy of the Ethereum app on there, it's not going to work anymore. So I wanted to sort of talk about this. I'm going to give you this little story here about how technology works. And I know I might be preaching to the choir here, but there are a lot of people that are upset because the Ledger Nano S was phased out, and they were under the impression that Ledger should just support it forever, and they want to sue Ledger because, you know, they're ending support for this outdated device that was discontinued 3 years ago. You can tell I'm a little sarcastic, but I did want to kind of go over this just from my personal life experience. I'm 62 years old, so I just want to kind of cover this, and I'm going to talk about some technologies. I'm going to talk about TV. I'm going to talk about phones. Now, these concepts apply to a lot of technologies like radio, radar, computers, that kind of stuff, but we're going to stick to a couple here. So we've got interface, technology, and content, right? So you have an interface for a piece of tech, and then you also have the technology that supports greater or better content. So a good example here is a black and white TV as opposed to a color TV. So when when color TVs came out, there were a lot of shows that were still being broadcast in black and white. So you had a black and white television set. I'm sorry, you bought a color TV, but you were still seeing some shows in black and white. And just like when HD TVs came out, I remember my dad went out and got an HD TV. He had a bunch of cable channels, but like out of his, 100 cable channels, like only 2 of them were broadcasting in HD. But now almost every TV channel broadcasts in HD, every cable channel, every streaming service, and a lot of streaming services support 4K content now. So, but we'll start the story. When I was a kid, we had a black and white TV, and the only way to change the channel was to stand up, go over, and flip this crude little dial. And that was the interface, right? Well, interfaces got better over the years, right? We got remote controls, but the remote control would only switch you between those 4 channels. You had the 3 networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and there was usually an independent channel, that was local to your city. And maybe if you were in a big city, there was more than one local channel. But that's all you had to choose from. And then cable TV came around. And with cable TV, you had a lot more choices in your content, right? And your interface changed, right? Now, if you wanted to watch a show, there it came on and it repeated. So there wasn't a channel that just did the same show over and over again. But if you had HBO, they had a movie that came out that month, it would be on several times. So if you missed it, you could watch it again, maybe at a different time. But you still didn't really have control over the content. You had a lot more choices, and everything, of course, was in color. But you sometimes you still couldn't find anything to watch. Then now television, we consume television in a different format. A lot of people use streaming. I cut my cable cord years ago. All the content that I watch on my TV is streaming service. Now, I should point out, too, that cable channels have on demand. So now you can choose what you want to watch when you want to watch it. So that's cool. And streaming services are the fruition of that, right? Watch whatever you want, whenever you want, and you've got high content. People demand better content. And so the technology evolves, the interface evolves. The technology allows for greater content, like from SD to HD to 4K. And then you've got that old interface where all you used to be able to do was change channels out of 4. Now you've got a remote that can choose from thousands of programs to watch anytime you want. And the technology evolves to fit the demand of the new content. Let's talk about phones. When I was a kid, and we all had landlines, and we didn't even have answering machines. So when that phone rang, you had to answer it. It could be important, right? And then we got answering machines so that, we could take a message so we didn't miss calls. And then fast forward, we started getting car phones or mobile phones. Rich people had car phones. And then people had pagers that they could carry around so that if they, it was important, they get a page and then they go call you back on a payphone somewhere. And then we evolved into cell phones where we could carry around our phones. And the content was different. It wasn't just voice anymore. It was also text. So we could communicate with voice and text on our cell phones. Well, in 2007, the smartphone came around, and now we've got smart content on our phones. To be fair, the smartphone is kind of a merging of computer and phone technology. But now we have a device that we can carry around with us that can access better content, not just voice and text, but video and social media and, FaceTime calls where we can see and hear the person on the other side. So the technology evolved, the interface evolved to because people demanded more content, better content, right? So we don't use flip phones anymore. And your iPhone from 2016 is just not going to cut it anymore because the iOS has evolved, and Apple only supports devices, I think, for about 7 years before the newer iOSs don't work on the older phones. So technology gets better. We demand better content. We need better interfaces, and we need better devices that can handle the improved content, right? You can't watch YouTube on a flip phone. So now we're here at hardware devices. The hardware device is what we use to manage our crypto. They came out around 2014. And the early hardware devices were small and difficult to use. They had these little buttons on them. The concept is we want something small that can store a private key safely and securely offline. Great idea. It only supported a few tokens at the time. As the crypto market started to gain traction, 2017 and 2018, Ledger and Trezor started adding support for more tokens. And then we had a revolution in crypto hardware wallets. Actually, I believe the very first Ledger device used a secure element chip. I believe Trezors were around first, and they had open architecture. They had a big commitment to open source code, software that ran an open architecture on their devices. A great idea, but it didn't really work well with a security device, right? A lot of people were white hat hackers, and people in academia were finding flaws in the open architecture because it was open, right? So the secure element chip, which is secret by design, was one of the features of the early Ledger Nano S. Well, as it turned out, that design was really not going to be work as crypto evolved, right? We used to have thousands of tokens in the crypto sphere. Now there are millions. We have Bitcoin and Ethereum, but we also have a lot of new layer one coins. We've got Sui coin, we've got Solana, we've got XRP. So that device that was designed in 2015 is not appropriate for managing modern crypto ecosystems. And so as the content evolves, that people demand more content, more functionality. As I mentioned in the beginning, we talked about the Bitcoin protocols evolving over time. We've got Bitcoin hard forks, we've got soft forks, native SegWit and Taproot, and then we've got Bitcoin ordinals and BRC20 tokens. So if you want to stay up to date with that, you need to update your device. Just like, I'm not going to be sitting in, my living room watching Gilligan's Island on a black and white TV. Holding Bitcoin on a Ledger Nano S is great, but that Bitcoin app, which gives you the Bitcoin functionality, grows bigger every year, and it just won't fit on that device anymore. Maybe you can fit Bitcoin and Ethereum on there now, but maybe in a couple years you won't be able to, because Bitcoin is evolving, Ethereum is evolving, new tokens are coming out. I know you thought that when you bought that hardware device it was going to last forever, and that it should last forever. But I'm sure there were people complaining, oh, why do I have to go out and buy a color TV? I'm just fine with my black and white. Why do I need an HD TV? I'm just fine with my old SD tube TV. Well, now there's so much content out there that won't even, you can't even watch on an older TV. The older TVs don't support the new content that people demand, whether it's on a television, whether it's on a phone, or whether it's on a hardware device. So I did want to kind of get that out there. And, this same concept, interface, technology, and content can be applied to, radio, radar, computers especially. Computers have evolved over time so that, we don't just crunch numbers on them anymore. We play games, we watch video, we do social media. So people demand content, and the technology has to evolve to accommodate that content. So I just wanted to get that out there in a calm, cool way. I'm not berating anybody as I have in some earlier videos, but I just kind of wanted to give you my experience of the way technology evolves. So let's go back over here. I hope that that worked. Sometimes I'm rambling away and my mic's muted or something crazy like that. Anyway, I'm a little over tonight. Let's see. Are there any other questions? I need to figure out if I should continue purchasing Monero or not. Paul, I would, like I said, I don't believe that Monero blockchain has been compromised. I think Dan was cutting and pasting some stories about Monero. But you'll have to, I guess you'll just have to read enough news and Reddit posts until you've convinced yourself that, Monero is a good idea. I believe Monero is a great idea. The problem with Monero is it is a privacy-based coin, And so it's being attacked on all sides. I'm going to sign off now. I'd like to thank everyone that was here tonight. I want to thank Wally for his donation. I really appreciate that. I want to thank Dan for moderating tonight. Everybody that asked questions, thank you so much for your questions. If I did not get to your question, my email is at the bottom of the description here, thecryptodad@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Check out my landing page for these great rebates on Ledger devices right now. You can get those until Tuesday. So now's the time to get you a brand new Ledger. Let's go over here and see what we got. Hey, that camera's working. So I'll be here again next Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join me again for the live stream from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me and hope to see you guys again soon. Good night for now. Hang in there and stay safe and use self-custody.